welcome to Career Boss. I'm Bruce, and I've had the pleasure of starting three successful businesses over the last 10 years. So, based on that, I thought I'd offer today 10 pro tips for getting your business funded. And they work for all of the startups I started with others as well as by myself. So the very first step is talk to some startup veterans early in your process. Find a person who's gone through the funding process before, figure out who they like, why they chose certain people, how things go. So that's the number one step. And it's really important because typically, if you're alone or whether you're with a couple of partners, you're going to be so excited to get started with your strategies and your tactics and your business plan. This is a great first step to help focus. Number two, the format of your business plan is critically important to investors. You're probably looking at a business plan format already because there's a million of them out there. But use the plan format or the template that the lending institution or the investor group recommends. That just makes it easier for them. Even if you go after several banks or institutions, integrate parts that they all have. They recommend these approaches for a reason. The main reason is they know exactly what to look for and they know exactly how to evaluate what you've got. And it also makes sure that you're not missing anything that they need. Number three, well, this particularly is important if you're friends and you're starting a business. What you have to do is make sure that you show that you and your partners have complementary skills. So early on, determine what roles each one of you is going to have. One of the ways that we've done it at one of our larger companies is we set up job descriptions, and that was really a great way for us to focus on what each of us was doing. Investors, when you're up there presenting to them, they're going to always ask what each of you bring to the table. So be ready for it. All right. Prove your target markets are interested. I know you might have done some secondary research. This is pretty fundamental, but often overlooked for the pitch and the business plan. And you don't want to be caught with your pants down. Okay, the first thing you do is you do a little bit of literature review, such as industry research. You do some competitor research. And then finally, you really should do some of your own research to test your product or service. I say hold a few focus groups like we see in the picture on the right and get people's real reactions and include those reactions as quotes in your business plan or perhaps even in your presentation. So if you don't know how to do focus groups, I've been doing them for 25 years at least. Ask me in the comments and I might put together a slide deck for you or a video for you that covers conducting your first focus group. Just the meat. That's what every investor wants. If you're pitching to them or they're reading your business plan, they want you to get to the point. Now, I included an image here, which is Guy Kawasaki's The Only 10 Slides You Need in a Pitch. This has been the go-to source for presentations for at least a decade. I've used this format and I've tweaked it a little bit according to our businesses, but it's a great one because you know what? It also helps keep you very, very focused. And once you see it, 10 slides aren't a lot. And the reason you need it short is because maybe you're going to be only given a few minutes to present. All right. Sure, I'll invest in your company even though you're not risking anything. Said no investor ever. You've got to prove that you've got skin in the game. So what cash are you putting into it? Are you bringing equipment to the company? Maybe it's vehicles, tools, etc. One of the businesses we started up was a motorcycle, competition motorcycle store, which had a retail space. And my two partners at that time, one of them had a fantastic new pickup truck, the other one had all the tools, and those counted as part of the investment. Sweat equity, everybody brings sweat equity. Meh, big deal, don't worry about that. But are you putting your house on the line? That shows you're serious. This isn't the time to be squeamish. Be brutal on yourselves, absolutely. Think hard about any holes in your presentation or your business plan. You've got to be brutal. Because your investors are going to be, when you're facing them, they're going to be brutal. They're going to ask you the hard questions. Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. Well, I say they're okay to watch, or TV shows about investors, because some of the questions are hard, and those are the questions you're going to definitely see. But that's a pretty short, they've got 10 minutes to pitch or less than that. So they're not getting into everything, but make sure there are no holes whatsoever. Also, when you're presenting, if you're two partners or three partners, whatever it is, in the red I write, decide in advance who'll be answering on what topics. If they miss something, sure, you can step in and help out. Number 8, know exactly how much time you're going to have to pitch. We had 10 minutes from one investor group, and that's really, really tight. So you got to decide what time frame works best or how you're going to approach this. So the first is maybe a quick PowerPoint or Canva or whatever you use. The next one you consider is handouts. And the third one is, just talking through it. Now, here's the issues with each. The quick PowerPoint, I've never seen a quick PowerPoint in my life. So if you do, it's like Guy Kawasaki's document. Maybe you have 10 slides. If you've got 10 minutes, you might not have 1 minute per slide to actually present. So decide what you're going to do. Handouts, here's the issue with handouts. They're great if they're follow-up, but you can't hand out a handout during a pitch because then you've lost your financial group. They won't pay attention to you. They're going to be spending time looking at the handout, each of them looking at different things, each of them with separate questions. Just talking, okay. Talking can work if you've only got 10 minutes, but you got to have some follow-up. You got to have some information ready. So regardless of how much time it is, whether you're one person starting a business or three persons starting a business, practice, practice, practice your pitch. Keep it tight. Don't allow questions until you're finished. If you're only given 10 minutes, you're not taking any questions. You got to get that information out there. And you have to anticipate what they're going to ask. Number 9, show them who's who at the pitch at a glance. We tried something different at one of our speed pitches. In this case, it was the 10 minutes that we had to this particular investor group. So we knew we didn't have a lot of time to do intros, etc., because then the clock was already ticking. So what we did was we used branded folding cardboard like we see here, or tent cards, with our names and titles. This way they know exactly who each one of us is. They don't feel uncomfortable because they know what our role is, because you can see that title there is I'm the Chief Creative Officer for Career Boss. It just makes their life a lot easier. Finally, number 10, just one. You just need one backer, an investor, or a bank. You get one, and then the rest will start coming in too, because they look at the other guys, the guys who brought you in first, as those people who did the due diligence. So it makes it a lot easier if you go to the next one and say, well, we've already got these folks as investors. It gives them comfort. Here in Canada, I've used the Business Development Bank of Canada, the BDC, as a starting point for two of the companies. They're a little bit more willing to take a risk, but they're going to have a higher percentage in terms of the interest you're going to pay. They're going to ask for a few other things. In two cases where we used the Business Development Bank for a startup, and then after about 5 years in the business, we needed it to grow. We did the same thing and grew with them. And in both cases, my business partner and I put our homes on the line. And that's not a comfortable feeling. You got to be pretty committed. Finally, one of the groups that I really like to go for are whatever the community is where you're setting up your business. They usually have these economic growth organizations, and they're willing to invest in companies that are moving into the area. So although their investment might not be huge, they're pretty easy to get, and it's a pretty important group that can give you information about where you started your business. So there they are. Those are the 10 steps for getting funding for your business. In my case, it's been medium and small business. It's going to be a little bit different if you're going in for something very, very big, but this is for me, medium, small business. One of the businesses is a couple of $1 million now. And yeah, so here they are. I hope they work for you. These are 10 almost off the top of my head. You probably have several more. If you do, please include them in the comments below. And please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching Career Boss.